With the exit in mind, what do you think will be the first bedroom type to sell out when Lentor Hill Residences will be launched?
If my budget allows, I want something below 2 mil, but I'm able to stretch up to the 2+ study. I would definitely go for 2+ study.
In terms of the unit mix, I believe 3 bedrooms will be something that will be quite well sought after for Lentor Hills Residences.
Okay, wake up.
Elstonia,
Everybody
Angus
ready?
Tiloba 3.
Okay, ready.
Hold on a while, should I
Right.
But you do get that privilege of a fantastic view.
Right.
Yeah, so I think you have to weigh your pros and cons.
Sorry. My leg was trapped. Okay.
You have to pay a premium to enjoy the void space that comes along with this penthouse unit. This entire project
Something that's very interesting is that on this particular step, which is step number 1, arrival drop-off point, you have a gym. So we're gonna head in. Let's go.
Mission control, we have liftoff.
Alright, so we're back with our new launch banter series. This is episode number 6. Alright, and today we're going to talk about Lentor Hills Residences. And of course, bring on all the research today will be Wayne. Let's welcome Wayne. Yes. Great. And of course, I have Grace as well. So we're going to talk about this very exciting new launch. And when is the expected launch date, Wayne?
Lentor Hills will be probably previewed in May, early May. That's
Right.
what we heard from the JMAs.
Right.
But the exact date has not been determined yet. So there was talks in the town to be probably end April, and then now it's being shifted to early May. So we'll still be looking forward towards that date. So it's around that time.
Great. So we want to quickly talk about the key
Right.
USP of this development. And is this going to be one of the much awaited project, bearing the fact that there's already a current few launches over the past few months already. So what do you think about this development?
So I think for people who wants to go into Lentor area, I mean, if they have missed out on Lentor Modern, I mean, Lentor Modern has been doing very well since launched.
Right.
So Gokoland went in, rejuvenate or basically redesign the whole entire Lentor area, and they make it actually very livable, and they have a great master plan to bring the whole area to life, together with URA master plan development as well. So if for people who has missed out on Lentor Modern last year, then they'll be definitely looking very much forward towards this Lentor Hills Residence, because apart from Lentor Modern, the latest launch around the area will be Amo Residences. Then before that was actually Panorama.
Right.
So I think the demand there is strong because it's generally very much household driven.
Okay, so
and
this
family-
is the launch number what in the whole Lentor series? Because Lentor series there's like Lentor Modern, Lentor Hill Residences. This is the second one, if I'm not wrong.
in terms of land bid, I believe it's the second one in the year of 2021, more towards the later part of 2021.
Okay, so but in terms of launch right now in the year 2023, there's a second option available, right, to all the people that's waiting for Lentor launches.
2023,
This is is this the second? Lentor Modern was launched in
2022.
and then so this is the first Lentor launch in 2023.
Correct, that's
okay,
right.
great. Just as you were walking in the studio, you came to me very excitedly while you're putting down your laptop. You said that this might be one of the opportunities for somebody that wants to go into the Lentor series at the best price. Why? Share with our audience. Why do you say that?
I mean, of course, if you look at Lentor Modern being a mixed development, and we all know that for being mixed development, usually the price that's being factored into the development will actually be a little bit more premium because of the connectivity and the convenience that the residents will get having commercials at the ground floor, and plus the fact that it's also very connected towards the public transport like Lentor MRT station.
But you mentioned something very specifically about pricing.
Right. So in terms of pricing wise right now, based on the land transacted pricing and the eventual launch price of Lentor Hills, we are looking at a price of about 2.1 PSF. So if you look at the pricing of 2.1 PSF being the starting price, comparing that to all the new launches that we have seen so far in 2023, where most of the launches are all in the range of 2004, 2005 PSF. So we think that actually is a very attractive price to enter in. And of course, then we also look at the most recent upcoming new launch, which is Blossoms by the Park. I believe that at this time of filming, the developer has already announced the starting from pricing, which is around the range of 2.1 to 2.2 PSF, even going up to 2.3 PSF, which is also something that's very attractive. So if you look at this pricing wise for Lentor Hills Residences, if they are to go ahead, I mean, if you were to pull out this price table that I've actually populated, let me
On an
pull it
estimated
up.
basis.
Yeah, on an estimated basis for Lentor Hills Residences. So I've split up from 1 bedroom all the way to 4 bedrooms dual key. So I mean, this project we can talk about it later on because we are seeing also a dual key units kind of layout that's coming back as well. But very interestingly, there's also a 1 bedroom unit. So if I were to populate that based on the lowest PSF price of 2.1 to all the way to 2.4 PSF, this is basically the figure that you'll be looking at. So for a 3 bedrooms unit, you'll be looking at probably a range of $2 million to probably about $2.1 million for the lowest entry pricing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. What do you think will be the expected launch price based on calculation of break even plus maybe like a 20% profit margin?
Likely probably about 2.2 PSF to be the average one, considering the lowest and the more expensive PSF. 2.2 to 2.3 for Lentor Hills.
So it will be slightly more than Lentor Modern, or
I
is
believe
about
it will
the
be
same?
slightly more than Lentor Modern due to the fact of the price movement over the 1 year.
Great.
Yeah, but the fact is that, I mean, right now, Lentor Modern, there's still probably about 69 units left in the market. Majority of them will be the 3 and the 4 bedrooms. So if you look at Lentor Hills Residences, then it actually allows customers to actually choose between Lentor Modern and Lentor Hills Residences, which is the project that actually they want in terms of the pricing eventually when this goes into the market.
Grace, just now you were asking a golden question, right? Like,
Yeah.
if somebody were to want to buy something right now,
Yes.
like now, so what was your question to Wayne just now?
So we were studying the pricing a little bit, and my question was, if right now I want to make a decision between Lentor Modern or the upcoming Lentor Hills Residences new launch, which one should I go for? Given that there are still units at Lentor Modern, right? Yeah. So if we were to look at the launch pricings, if we were just to look at the break-even land kind of pricing at 2.1, right? Then if you are someone that is considering, let's say, something newer, you don't need the benefits of a mixed development, then perhaps you can go for Lentor Hills Residences. However, I do think it's pretty unlikely that the developers will launch it at such a conservative price, given that the response for Lentor Modern, as well as it being a mixed development and it being ready sooner, right? So the fact that there are still units available at Lentor Modern could be something that implicates the pricing for the new Lentor Hills
Right.
Residences.
So let's have a look at Lentor Modern. I think great question being brought up. Because Lentor Modern, there are still 3-bedroom flexi available, starting from 2.1 plus to about 2.6 odd million. Then 4-bedroom flexi is at 3 million to 3.3 odd million dollars. There's 1 unit left for the 1 bedder. I don't know which unit is that. Like, why is there only 1 unit left?
500 plus square feet unit.
Okay, great. Maybe I'm not sure in terms of facing or whatever. We can check it out later. But in totality, 69 units left, which is only 11%. So they're sold about 89% really, which is great. And then when we look at the quantum, so if we go for a quantum perspective, we lay out the pricing of the 3-bedder, which is 2.1 to 2.6, 4-bedder 3 to 3.3, and taking a look back at the estimated pricing right here. What do y'all think we should go for? How about Grace? Like, that Lentor Modern has 3 bedders left, 2.1 to 2.6. Then when, for example, if we look at the 2002 PSF category for Lentor Hills, will you go for, like, I don't know, the dual key, the premium, or the compact 3-bedder,
Okay.
which is over here? So like these are 3
Yep.
choices.
Okay, knowing that Lentor Modern 3-bedder units are still available at 2.1 and above, I will quickly snag up the most compact 3-bedroom type at sub 2.1 mil. Yeah, because I believe that the age plays a part, and then also not being a mixed development, you do get that so-called privilege of having a lower quantum. Right, so I think for anyone who wants to keep their quantum low, perhaps they will be looking to to buy into a 3-bedder and still have a good distance away from the 2.1 mil at Lentor Modern, if I'm looking at Lentor Hills Residences. But personally, I think that if there are still units available and the facing is an ideal facing,
Right.
perhaps my attention for now will be diverted to Lentor Modern first. Yeah, because maybe I'm looking for something that is going to TOP sooner. I want something that is mixed development, and the quantum is not that different, 209 and 2.1. So actually, I will want to go for the Lentor Modern first.
Right.
And if that's not available, then perhaps I'll turn my attention here, which I believe will happen once this launches. Depending on the launch price, Lentor Modern will get more traction as well.
Okay. So Grace, from your perspective, is more from the TOP date perspective. So if somebody wants to get their key sooner, they can consider modern.
Not
If
just the TOP dates, I think also the pricing. If the pricing is so similar,
Right.
I'm okay to go for something that is a mixed development.
Right.
Because then it seems like there is no added premium to be in a mixed development, and the added convenience. For me, it's not just the TOP date.
Right.
TOP date definitely is premium, knowing that there's something launching, but the launch price is pretty similar to what is already available in terms of like remaining units left. So I feel that Lentor Modern will be more attractive, especially because it's closest to the Lentor MRT as well.
Great. So Wayne, if you were to be the developer, how would you do the pricing strategy in order not to cannibalize on your own projects? Because these two projects, I mean, in fact, right now, Guaco has sort of had already, I think, 4 plots already,
Yep.
right? So how do you think the pricing strategy will turn out?
It'll be quite interesting to think about how they do it, because end of the day, if I'm going to price Lentor Hills residences to be more expensive, then it will probably help to move the remaining units of Lentor Modern so
Right.
that they can actually have a full sellout of the rest of the units. So it might be the kind of like strategy where they use one product to move a product that they probably would have, they probably need some effort to help them to clear off the remaining stocks, which is for Lentor Modern, the remaining of the 3 and the 4 bedrooms flexi units. In fact, if you look deeper into the units kind of like size for Lentor Modern, the 4 bedrooms for the 4 bedrooms flex will be actually bigger in size than the Lentor Hills residences 4 bedroom. So considering that Lentor Modern, the 4 bedrooms flexi unit size is 1,005 square feet. And if you look at Lentor Hills residences, the size right now, based on the data that we have, is 1,003 square feet.
Right.
So there's about 200 square feet of difference. So probably in terms of pricing wise, if I look at the pricing for Lentor Moderns, at the kind of same pricing, which I can then get a bigger unit and I can get it earlier by earlier than Lentor Hills residences, then it gives me more motivation, or gives me more reasons for me to consider going for Lentor Modern,
Right.
which I believe that may be the strategy where Guaco Land may adopt to have Lentor Hills residences priced in a way to help them to clear off the
Lentor
remaining
Modern.
Lentor Modern.
Right.
Correct.
That's a good I think strategy. I think another strategy is that if let's say they are thinking about another way in order not to let Lentor Modern sort of like jeopardize Lentor Hills, because from a developer's perspective, sometimes is that when they hit like 80%, they are very confident that the balance 20% or 10 will sell out through time. And sometimes if a developer only have one product left in that particular vicinity, they might even raise the prices.
Yeah.
So another strategy is that what we've seen along the years is that they will focus on Lentor Hills. They will just let Lentor Modern be left there and let it clear on its own, because Lentor Modern has an additional positioning as a mixed D.
Right.
Then they will focus on Lentor Hills, let it clear a certain percentage. Lentor Modern, they just let the price remain, or they might even just raise the price a little bit so that Lentor Hills might sell
seems
faster.
more
So
attractive.
so there's I think
Yeah.
there's like a lot of creative ways to move
Correct.
it, and it'll be so interesting to see what pans out. So maybe let's go into the bedroom kind of distribution and share with us your thoughts about what do you think about this bold move. In fact, why do I say that it's a bold move is that when Wayne first did the research and I saw that the 4 beta has 100 units, I think that is actually quite a bold move. But could it be because of the studying of the demographics right there in the Lentor area? What do you think, Grace? Like, there's a huge amount of 3-bed premium, huge amount of 4-bed premium. I mean, compared to some of the launches we did reviews, that developers are really doubling down on the 2-bedroom types, right? But this one seems very balanced. 598 units, but it seems that in terms of balance of the large sizes ones, they're putting a lot more emphasis. What do you think, Grace?
Yeah, so I think that definitely it's a strategic move to have more of the units being bigger unit sizes. It is a bold move, but I think it's a calculated move as well. So if you were to look in the area, actually they are in the vicinity of a lot of larger freehold projects. So this could be a competitive edge that they do want to have to offer in terms of size. So second thing is that it is also in an area with, I believe, pretty good schools. So I think there are many family types who like this area. And with the Thomson East Coast Line that has been announced, that this area has seen a lot of rejuvenation, right? And thirdly, also because this Lentor area also does house a lot of landed homes. Yeah, so I believe that this could cater to, number one, upgraders in the area. Let's say they are staying at an older freehold project, for example. They want to move to something of decent size. Or they could be landed home downgraders who want to remain in the area, move to something newer, but they still want to retain that size factor.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Wayne, what are your thoughts on the fact that there are a reintroduction? I mean, although not a lot, is like 8 units of 3-bit dual key, 4-bit dual key. Do you think that these units will be instantly absorbed? And also, on a very interesting fact is that they went back to the traditional model whereby, compared with, I think, Blossoms, Blossoms built the dual key smaller than their biggest 3-bedder, right?
Correct.
So they made the dual key into a very palatable quantum. This went back to the traditional model whereby the dual key is the largest version.
Yep.
And thus, if you look at the disparity, 3-bit dual key versus 4-beta is about the same pricing.
Yep.
And there's only a 35 square feet difference. So do you think that these 8 units will be difficult to move, or what are your perspective on this?
I think it really comes back to the fact that why would people want to buy a dual key unit? I think people want to buy a dual key unit because they want to have the flexibility of owning 2 different properties without having to pay ABSD. So they will want to go for that kind of rental play. And Lentor area is actually very close towards the Seletar Aerospace, where there is still abundance of workers or skilled workers and tenants that actually are working in the area. They are looking for places to actually stay. And the fact that we are also very close towards the Thomson East Coast MRT station, which actually opens up the possibilities for rental play as well.
Right.
So I believe that there will still be a market for people who wants to buy a dual key unit. I think probably what I may be thinking from the developer's perspective is that they may be using Lentor Hills residences to test the market receptance towards dual key units. And that's the reason why they only have it in 8 units. I mean, total add up is only 16 units, which adds up to probably even less than 5% of the overall total units mix. So once these units' performance does great, they may probably introduce such dual key units towards the rest of the other new launches in the area.
Yeah. But to be honest, because the pricing is so similar between the 3-bit dual key as well as the 4-bidder, I do think that the 4-bidder will definitely see more demand, despite the supply,
Right.
8 versus 100 units. I still think that the 4-bidders or rather even like looking at the 3-bit premium, right? It is a 400K disparity between the 3-bit premium and the 3-bit dual key.
Right.
Yeah, so I feel that in this instance, the dual key units may not perform as well as the traditional 3 and 4 bidders.
Yep.
The 3-bit premium as well as the 4 bidder, just because of the pricing. It is a little bit too far from the 3-bit premium and too close to the 4 bidder.
4-bedroom, right.
Yeah, so buyers may zap up the 3-bit premium first before looking at the dual key, especially because if we are talking in this area, yes, I do foresee a certain amount of rental demand, but I do think that people buying for own stay may be more predominant.
Definitely. I mean, generally, if you look at the population census data in the area itself, you see that actually owner-occupiers actually takes up more than 85% of the total populations in the area.
Right.
So which actually then explains why the number of 4-bedders and 3-bedders are actually at a higher percentage as compared to some of the other new launches that we see in today's market. So tenants itself is only about 13%. So I think this data is actually based on Lentor Modern, and I believe it actually resonates very much in the whole entire area lah.
Yeah. I think the dual key in this instance may be more targeted at multi-generational family types or people, they have their parents or their in-laws staying, then maybe they might look at this dual key. Definitely suitable and flexible for rental play as well, but perhaps more for multi-generational living.
Yeah. I also noticed that in terms of the building design, maybe Wayne can bring out the so-called visualization of how the building looks like. There's
actually,
tapering.
Yes. So actually, on this particular point, I was just sharing with Melvin earlier on. While I was doing this research, I realized that if you were to dig deeper into the URA tender documents, you actually can find out a lot of information to how the site will be positioned in a way.
Yeah.
So when I was doing this research, actually, I just want to bring out this drawing. So if you really are interested to find out more about how the whole entire Central Lentor Hill will eventually looks like when all the developments are being built, I actually chanced upon this wind funnel map that actually shows all the developments of how the buildings should be positioned, and there's actually regulations by URA to have a distance between buildings to be 30 meters, just so that wind flow can flow through the building into the whole entire area. So by looking at this map, you can actually see that this area, this is where Lentor Hills residences will be, and this is actually Lentor Modern. And then, of course, the rest will be the rest of the eventual projects that will eventually launch over there in Lentor. So in general, this will be how it looks like. But of course, Lentor Hills, being Lentor Hill, is actually a hill area. So when I dig into the tender document for Lentor Hills residences, they actually have mentioned that it's actually a tapering kind of like building structure. So there's also envelope control for the buildings all the way upwards. Very interestingly, in this project, there's also a conservation tree that the developer has to conserve within the project.
And it's like a V-shaped format as well.
So if I were to pull up this diagram, this is actually the tender document for Lentor Hills residences. So you can see that it's actually being staggered in a way that it goes all the way upwards. So right here, this would actually be the main road. And then behind this is actually the Lentor Park, right? It's called the Lentor
Hillock Park.
Yeah,
correct.
that's the main attraction
So
there.
the lowest height building is actually up to 8 stories, and the middle tier will actually be 16 stories, and the highest rise will actually goes all the way up to 23 stories. So Lentor Hills Residences is sitting on a land plot ratio of 3.0.
Right.
Slightly lower than Lentor Modern, which is at 3.5.
Right.
But 3 being is also relatively higher already. So you can see that it's actually all the way tapering upwards. And very interestingly, the 3-bedroom dual key and a 4-bedroom dual key being 16 units, they are all located on
At
this
the lower
lower
tier.
rise.
Yeah, maybe bring out that design concept. So one observation is that I think developers are also very smart. If you look at that, if you are a consumer, naturally I think your mind will be thinking like, hey, should I go for that low rise tower because there's only so few of them, or should I go for like at least a mid or high rise version? And thus, if you look at the preliminary site plan, I think they're putting all the dual keys into the low rise.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so it's unique, and naturally with that uniqueness, if dual key would be planted across and is spread out, maybe it will not sell as well. But if you just put everything there, it creates a unique product within that low tower. Another thing just now, as Wayne, you were mentioning about the wind funnel system. Have you guys been to like, okay, Grace, you have sold a unit at Interlace before, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you go to Interlace, you go to Principal Garden, you go to, what's that? Deleden. The wind funnel that is being created by the design shape of the buildings are so important. If you just go to these 3 projects, just feel that when you walk downstairs, it's extremely windy. It's very strange. Like the funneling system just brings in the wind circulation. What do you think about Interlace, Grace?
Okay, I think Interlace is one of those architectural feats, right? So the design itself is really unique, but it is not just for the aesthetics. It's also for ergonomics purposes and also for, daily life. So when I am looking at Lentor, especially around the Hillock Park, my main thoughts would be that, will it just become a really congested area with a lot of upcoming projects? Will this become a whole new a whole new Lentor enclave, yes, but also will it be too overcrowded? It's heartening to know that the design principles have been laid out and thought through carefully, that it is not just to pack the land as full as possible with as many units, but also to design it in a way that the residents have a fantastic way of life, right? That they do get that wind flow. And yes, in Interlace, it's definitely a very pleasant experience walking around. I love to see the building structures, but I also love to I love to know that a place has been designed with living in mind, right? Not just to sell or not just to pack a place for people. Yeah, so I think it's fantastic to see this wind flow. So if as a buyer, maybe if I had concerns that, will it become really like claustrophobic, then I am happy to learn that there are actually designations and regulations on the setback distance.
So the interesting thing is that when we talk about Interlace, we talk about Principal Garden, we talk about Deleden, these are singular projects designed with wind flow concepts from the architect on the particular buildings within that same project. But if you look at Hillock Park, it's very different. These are wind flow concepts across different parcels.
Right.
Yeah, so it's like it's a whole family that's being planted in, and fantastic to know that, I mean, URA actually planned this, that the
Yeah.
developer has to adhere to it.
Correct.
And so Wayne, what you're saying is that all these are already available on URA website.
You have to do some digging. You have to download some data.
Meaning
just
actually
to
the site plan is already sort of out.
Yes.
Wow, that's fantastic.
I mean, in a way, they have to design a way that you have to have a certain distance between buildings, and that is as much as what the architects or the developers can actually plan out in terms of the building.
I think that's the benefit that you get of moving in, of being a first mover into a new town, right?
Yeah.
So let's say if we are reconstructing, or we are developers have bought over a land in somewhere that is already a mature estate, then likely there's not much configuration or synergy that can be done between you and your neighboring projects. But because this is a refreshing new area with so much developments coming up, you get to be part of the action, and URA is actually having a hand in shaping the entire district, which is fantastic.
Yeah, great. Of course, they're calling it the Lentor New Town, right? Yeah, but what do you think about the fact that will it be called Guaco Town? Right, so we talk to us a little bit about that chart that we were tabulating just now on the land bids and all that. And how do you see the latest bid? Because the latest bid, there's only one, and I think a lot of buyers will be very keen to know that whether should they wait for Lentor Gardens, because there's only one bid. PPR bid price is the lowest, $985 per square foot per plot ratio, compared to Lentor Modern, which is at 1204, compared to Lentor Central 211, and then you got Lentor Hills now 1060. So what do you think?
Once you know that actually GoCo Lands comes in to bid for all these lands, it actually tells you a story is that GoCo Land, I mean, if you look at how GoCo has actually transformed the Bugis area, you know, the CBD, the Suntec area, you know that they have a master plan in mind to actually create a very livable town. For GoCo to come in to develop Lentor, you know that they actually have placed a lot of attention to this area, and they want to make this area one of their statement piece.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of talks in place like how GoCo will be going to do it, and everybody has a lot of like I would say expectations from them.
Right.
So if you look at whether will Lentor Gardens be really very affordable, I think we have also got some update from the developer themselves, is that saying that though the fact that they bidded for such a low price does not really translate to that they will sell at a low price, because ultimately this is going to be launched later on, and they will definitely be looking at the performance from your Lentor Modern, from your Lentor Hills residences, even to the fact for the rest of the other Lentor Hills Parcel B side, the performance, to then determine the pricing for Lentor Gardens.
I agree with that. I think that, I mean, from pricing strategy point of view,
Right.
it will also be unfair to the first groups of buyers that bought
Correct.
into the first, second, and third land parcel. But I think in terms of the value add, that usually what developers will do is that if they are really passionate about their projects, the value is that they will recreate new things into development, like trying out new ideas. Or I still remember there was an era where there was this launch at Toa Payoh, which is very near the Brother MRT, Jam Residences. The amount of creativity that is being pumped into the project was like one of its first few kind, because it was like RCR but with concierge service.
Yep.
And there was a lot of additional value being pumped into it.
I still remember it was the first project in
Yeah.
Singapore that has concierge service.
Yeah.
They introduced concierge service to condominiums, and it is also one of the first few to have pet facilities.
Yes.
Yeah, and then because of the land size of Gem being small, they had to cram. I mean, I won't say cram, but they will have to have multiple facilities being put into this small land.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they actually transformed the multi-story car park into a tennis court area on the rooftop. They have like areas and nurseries for residents to actually plant their own plants as well. So
Yep.
a lot of creativity that's being put in place. And in fact, such a small land plot, they are managed to squeeze in a 50 meters lap pool as well.
Yes.
So I think that's quite phenomenal.
If you were to look at Lentor Gardens, right, I think something unique is also that it is one of the biggest land plots
Yep.
and lowest plot. Okay, not say lowest plot ratio, but across the Lentor, the 5 lands, it is the one with the lowest plot ratio at
2.1.
2.1. right? Compared to 3.5 at Lentor Modern and 3 at Lentor Hills Residence. So it will be a different concept, I believe. Pricing wise, there's no reason to price it low just because you bought it low. You will sell it at whatever price that makes sense, when you sell.
Right.
But definitely concept wise, I think it will be very exciting. A big plot of land, maybe lower buildings.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
And I think it also goes into the whole entire landscape of Lentor Hill. Because I think it's a whole entire hill area, so they have to conform to that kind of like height control all the way inwards. So probably that's the reason why, if you look at Lentor Hills residences, the blocks at the most front are actually lower at 8 story. So that's probably the reason why maybe Lentor Gardens is being plot ratio 2.1 because they have to conform to that certain height, just so that when you looked from an aerial perspective, it has a very uniform shape.
Yeah, but definitely if we were to look at the 5 different plots of land, they are releasing it kind of in
Clockwise.
yes, and also further and further from the MRT station, right? So if you're someone that values convenience, you like to be closer to the MRT or closer to town rather than closer to the industrial, where perhaps there's higher rental demand, but if you want to be closer to the MRT side, then the earlier plots of land may be more attractive. Yeah.
Right. And are the floor plans released already?
Not yet.
Okay, great. Why don't we talk about some of the resale projects around it? Because I think our audiences are also very keen to know the disparity effect between this new launch pricing, which is at 2,000 plus. Averagely, everything will be at about 2,002 onwards, versus some of the interesting projects nearby. And of course, throughout the years, we have sold quite a fair bit of units at this freehold project called Calrose. We have also sold quite a couple of the cluster houses at Atelier Villas. And we always have clients asking us about these two projects. Like, do you have new listings? Because they are like the last freehold that is very near to the new Lentor MRT station. It's actually, the MRT station I would consider a bonus. I mean, when you have a freehold project, MRT pops up right beside you, is a bonus to you. So how is the pricing doing on these two resale versus the PSF level at Lentor now?
All right, so if you look at Calrose, when you're talking about Lentor area, generally the 2 big projects that you would think about immediately would probably be Meadows at Pierce, which is more at the lower end of Lentor, closer towards the Pierce Reservoir area.
Right.
And then you have your Calrose. And of course, the older one will be like your Thomson Grove, your Far Horizon Garden, and your Season Park, which is more towards the Yio Chu Kang side
they're
and
all
Castle Green
99.
already.
Yeah.
Yep, correct. So, I mean, of course, we have did a quick search in the area in terms of the bedrooms types, from 1 bedrooms all the way to 4 bedrooms, just to be aligned with Lentor Hills residences. So you can see that right now, in terms of price movement, in terms of PSF, of course, for the smallest bedroom, which is 1 bedroom, you have your Flora View, which is at 1,004 PSF. So this is basically looking into the immediate area of where Lentor Hills residences is, and then we increase the radius to about 1 kilometers from where it is. So a couple of projects that comes in, of course, in terms of highest price will be like Central Residence, which is where Ang Mo Kio MRT is. So I mean, of course, there's for premium. I think that's also a high floor penthouse unit at $1.95 million. Size is 1,001 square feet for a 1 bedroom. So I think that's really big. So for 2 bedrooms wise, you have your newest kid, which is like Lattice One, which is just TOP, which is a freehold project. So smaller size is about 538 square feet for 2 bedrooms. But in terms of pricing wise and PSF wise, you can pretty much get it at $1,039 for a Sunrise Garden in the area for 2 bedrooms. If you look at the 3 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms, and for the highest price PSF, it would definitely be Lattice One because it being the newest one in the area. So the PSF is all trending between 2003 to 2005 PSF for 2, 3, 4 bedrooms in terms of their price movement in the market.
Right.
But what you can see for Calrose is that today you can get a Calrose 3 bedroom unit for $3 million. And pretty much the size is at 2,002 square feet, which I think is quite a big size. I think that's pretty much like a penthouse unit.
Right. So I'm trying to put the estimated pricing side by side with this analysis. Maybe Wayne, let's complete the 4-bedder first. What do you see from a 4-bedder?
So for 4 bedrooms, the lowest price they can get is basically from Castle Green. And for freehold one, there'll be Far Horizon, which is 3.58. And this is also being one of the biggest unit, like 3,009 square feet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's have a look at one of the hot favorite if somebody is looking for a cluster house, Attila Villas, because it has 5 bedrooms. It's a cluster strata concept. How much is a...
So right now we are selling one unit in Attila Villas for a 5-bedroom unit, size at about 2,800 plus square feet. We are going at $2.9 million.
$2.9 million. Huh?
Correct.
Okay.
$2.9 million.
Right. So that's the cluster freehold.
Cluster freehold, 2,800 plus square feet of land.
Okay, let's round it up to 3 mil. 3 mil. So the interesting thing here is this: if let's say, Grace, you have a client that is looking, or maybe example, somebody's looking for a 4 or 5 bedder Lentor area, and you see that now the PSF is about 2,002, quantum is probably about 3 million onwards. Which one will you go for? Considering the resale market, considering the strata cluster, which one will you go for?
Okay, so if you were my client, you came to me $3 million, I will first have to find out what is your priority. So there are many projects in the area. Considering the resale market, there are quite a few very, very, I think, solid options for you at a $3 million budget. So of course, if your concern is that you want something new, you want something convenient, then definitely I would suggest you can go for the upcoming Lentor Hills residences. That is I would say the key USP compared to the residential projects that I see at hovering about $3 million and below. If you want something that is near the Lentor MRT, you want something that is new, and you want something that is in an area, right, where there are many new launches that will lead the pricing, then Lentor Hills residences or Lentor Modern is something that you can consider. If you were to expand out to the resale options available and you are not so-called picky with
Location.
location or age. I would say if you're not picky with age, you value something that is freehold, you value size, then perhaps you need to move further down into the Meadows at Pierce site. I think Meadows at Pierce has some really attractive units at $2.85, $3 million, 4 bidders. Bigger size unit at I think 1,008 square feet. Asking price at 3 mil. It's definitely not as convenient, I would say, not in the heart of the Lentor action.
Right.
But you do get that privilege of a fantastic view.
Right.
Yeah, so I think you have to weigh your pros and cons.
Sorry. My leg was trapped. Okay. What do you think? Thanks, Grace. What do you think, Wayne? Which one will you choose? If let's say we were to move one tier upwards towards a 3-bedder, you got to see like Carol's being a freehold, also right next beside MRT station, and $3 million. Would you go for this, or would you go for a $2.6 million 3-bed premium?
For me,
Bearing the fact that it's only about $500,000 difference, $500,000 difference.
right, of course, the beauty of having a freehold, of course, you don't have to worry about the lease decay, right? And it's more for the longevity and more for legacy planning in a sense. But for me, ultimately, it really depends on the personal preference. So, like say, if I really want something that's new, I want to be the first one that stays in there, and I want to be part of the whole entire transformation of the Lentor area, then I will definitely be looking at all these new launches project, because this is where I want to be in. And of course, the fact is right now is that we also have to consider in the interest rate market. If I were to buy into something that's resale, I would have to pay the full entire mortgage. So if I am going for a brand new project, then of course, bearing in mind that the interest rate market right now, so if I want to go for something that's readily available, then I will go into the full loan in terms of the mortgage. But of course, if I want to go for something that's BUC, I can actually leverage the fact that it's basically progressive payment, and I can get to own something that's newer, and I will only pay the bulk of the mortgage probably about 4 to 5 years down the road, where probably by then, hoping that the interest market, rate market will actually be more stable.
Right.
So there will be some thoughts in mind. If, let's say, for example, if I have a place to stay right now and I just want to buy something for my family later on, I can choose to go for newer ones, so that I won't be subjecting myself to the high interest rate market right now.
Yeah, it
That'll be
also
my-
depends whether you're an investor or you're buying for own stay and your horizon,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Right. And if we look at the street directory and we look at the amount of competition around the area, I think the 99 years, which are very near to, which is in between the Lentor MRT and Yio Chu Kang MRT, for example, like Seasons Park, you look at Far Horizon, you look at, what's the other project, Castle Green, their age is already in a different era, right? So
Correct.
they are averagely about 10 plus 20 odd years old. And of course, the entire Lentor series is like one whole concept. The USP is very strong. I think it's totally a different category of products, and it seems to me that probably the only thing that buyers would think about if they are freehold conscious is they will consider Calrose, they might consider Atelier Villas, or they might move down the street towards Meadows at Pierce.
Correct.
Other than that, if they buy into the Lentor story, they want to be in this whole USP cluster with Hillock Park at the center. I think it is a total different kind of target audience on its own. Let's talk a little bit about the exit audience in 4 years' time. So, with the exit in mind, what do you think will be the first bedroom type to sell out when Lentor Hill Residences will be launched? Let's say we have a conscious mindset that in 4 years' time, when somebody buys today, they want to sell. Do you think the quantum will help a certain category or bedroom type to move very quickly during the launch date? Which one? Yeah, so the golden question, which one will sell out first with exit in mind?
So if I were to consider the Lentor area being very much residential driven, the fact that Lentor is actually very close towards Ang Mo Kio area, so we are on the outskirts of Ang Mo Kio, and the fact that there's also so many new, I would say, housing projects. So I mean, to answer that question first, let's take a look at the URA master plan of the greater development in the whole entire Lentor area. So if we are to pull out the URA master plan, so if you look at the URA master plan right here, where we are highlighting this is actually Lentor Hills Residences. Of course, this is the whole entire Ang Mo Kio township right here. But if I were to draw your attention towards this big piece of land right here, so this is actually subjecting to detailed planning. Right now, what we are seeing in this piece of land is actually a big chunk of forested area. So this probably in future will be residential, it can be housing estates. We don't know yet, but what we are seeing is that being so close to Ang Mo Kio township, there's a lack of new projects in the area. The newest one will actually be Amo Residences, your Panorama. The older ones will be like your Grandeur 8, your Central Residences, which is the Ang Mo Kio area. So this basically gives the people who wants to move into the area, they want to go to CHIJ, Techniques, for example, they want to buy into the area for the school. Then I believe that in terms of the unit mix, I believe 3 bedrooms will be something that will be quite well sought after for Lentor Hills Residences. Considering the quantum that you can go in right now is at a $2 million mark, which is very much the market rate for 3 bedrooms in today's resale market.
Yeah. So if you don't need a yard, then you can go for 3-bedder, which is starting from about 2.1. If you need the yard space, 2.4. So Wayne's sort of checkbox is that you think the 3-bedder will be very sought after, especially that 88 units right there. Am I right?
Yep.
Okay, great. How about Grace? What do you think?
Actually, personally, I agree with Wayne. That was the bedroom type that I was thinking would be sold out the fastest as well. Because if you were to look at the disparity gap between the 3-bedroom and the 3-bed premium, it's actually, I think, close to about 400K of difference. And it has to do with size as well. Because the 3-bed premium is actually significantly larger than the 3-bedder. 1,001 compared to 950. Yeah, so definitely I think in terms of quantum play and in terms of a disparity gap, the 3-bed compact or the 3-bed standard is the most attractive. Yeah. If you were to look at the 4-bedroom types, it is sub 3 mil. Sub 3 mil is a good quantum in this area for a 4-bedder. However, the sizing at 1345, or below 1,004 square feet is significantly smaller than a few resale options that buyers may have. So this might be a little bit of a tough spot because buyers will always have the question whether I should buy the bigger resales, especially because the bigger resales are freehold in nature.
Right. Thanks. And how about advices for our audience if let's say they cannot afford anything above 2 million? The max they can go is a 2+ study, or they can scale down a little bit to get a 2-bedder. And I think this time round is very interesting because usually 2+ study is of a smaller population than 2-bedder. If you look at this, I think the strategy is that the amount of audiences that have a budget limitation touching the 2 mil mark is there because of TDSR over the years, plus now the stress test for bank has increased internally. So I think developers are aware, and of course they are price sensitive. They want to cater to this target audience as well. Somebody that wants a 3-bedder but they cannot afford, but at least a 2+ study. So that is why if you can see there's 111 units, which is a huge population. Price gap is also strategically planned because if you look at the size difference, it's only about 75 square feet difference. So what do you think? I mean, somebody that's wanting to buy something 2-bedder, 2+ study, which one should they go for? And the price gap is only about 140,000 difference.
I mean, if I'm a young couple with no children, I plan to have a children. So maybe to get me started, I can probably go for a 2+ study because the study room can still be, converted into like a nursing room, in that kind of like aspect. And I can still, or maybe I can have the one of the common room being a nursing room and the study room being a work area as well. So I think that would probably be the rationale behind that kind of like price gap, which actually attracts buyer with a budget constraint.
Yep.
That's what you have mentioned.
Yep.
It makes more sense as well. So for me, that if in future if I want to sell it, I can still sell it like a 3-bedroom, through clever ID, making use of the space as well. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Grace?
Yeah, I think the 2+ study is more attractive because if you were to take a look at, let's say, the 2.2 PSF, 2002 PSF, let's say we look at 1-bedroom plus study, 2-bedroom and 2+ study, it's 1.2, 1.4, 1.6, and then a gap to the 2 mil, right? So if my budget allows, I want something below 2 mil, but I'm able to stretch up to the 2+ study, I would definitely go for the 2+ study. So at the 2+ study, I know that, I am a healthy gap away from the 3-bedder. I'm the biggest of my type, like the 2-bed and 2+ study. The 2 bedrooms, you can't really stretch too much because at 1.4, I know that 2+ study is already 1.6. So if I were to be asking 1.5, 1.6, then I would have to see what the 2+ study is asking at that time. So there's that cap on how much I can appreciate.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I think with this concept in mind, perhaps during launch, I think 2+ study and 3-bedder compact will be the most sought after. If we add another 4 to 5 years later, by 2026, 2027, when this product's TOP, what might happen is that somebody that bought a $2.1 million 3-bed compact, they will probably ask for 2.4, 2.5 in the resale market. Somebody that bought a 2+ study at 1.6, 1.7, they will probably ask for 1.9 to 2 mil. So it will still be below $2 million. And I think in quantum wise, perhaps the 2+ study will also have a very good audience if you want to exit. And let's see how it happens during the launch day. And of course, any final things to add on, Wayne and Grace, before we end the episode?
I am curious actually about the floor plans. So the floor plans will make a big difference. So if the 2+ study floor plan is, say, not optimized, the study is in an area that you cannot really utilize it fully, then perhaps the attention may go back to the 2-bedders, or it may, divert the attention to the 3-bedders. Yeah, so it really depends on the floor plan. I also wanted to look at the site plan actually, where the facings will be. And yeah.
I mean, if you look at the site plan right here, I mean, this is still, disclaimer, this is still pending the final approval from the architect. So this is something that's very draft. But from these floors, from this site plan, you can actually see that each block has a good mixture of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom, and 4 bedrooms. In fact, the 3+ study, I mean, the dual key units are all located in the lowest story block, which shares the block with the 4 bedrooms unit. But otherwise, if you look at the rest of the other blocks, they have pretty much a good mixture of 1, 2, 3, and even 4 bedrooms types. Except for stack number 30, I mean block number 35.
Then I guess it speaks to the architecture thought behind it, that the entire place is designed not to favor 1 or 2 stacks, but basically to have a good mix, so that as a buyer, I can really focus on what is the unit type that I want, and then basically I can find it in all different stacks.
Right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah.
All right, so I think we've come to the end of today's episode. This is episode number 6. Okay, we're going to see on the next one. What is 7?
No, 7 will be reserve. Should be
Reserve residences.
Right.
All right, that is for D21 lovers. So if you want to know more about Lentor Hills Residences, of course, our link is right below. We have our new projects consults team. Feel free to reach out to us. And of course, do remember to sign up for our webinars as well, because throughout the next couple of months, there's still webinars that's going to talk about new launches, TOP projects, and also we're going to cover landed plus HDB as well. So stay tuned for different series brought to you by PLB. We hope to see you on the next episode. Take care.